Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this lesson, I will be explaining the differences between present perfect and present perfect continuous tense. Let's begin with the name of Allah, who is very kind and merciful. So to this side, present perfect continuous tense, and to that side of the line, present perfect tense. Keep in mind that the main usage of present perfect tense is to talk about an action that happened before now, before present time, at an on specific time. For example, if you're asking me, please have lunch with us. So I'm saying, no, I'm not hungry now because I've already had lunch, because I've already eaten. Okay, so we talk about an action that happened before now, before present time, at an unspecific time. That's the main usage of present perfect tense. And there are some other usages besides that. And the main usage of present perfect continuous tense is we use it when we talk about an action that started in the past, comes to present time continuously, and may or may not continue in the future. So these are the main usages of these two tenses. So I want to show the difference here. Now, there is an exceptional case. We're going to talk about that later. But if you want to talk about something that started in the past, comes to present time continuously, and may or may not continue in the future, you should not use present perfect tense. You should use present perfect continuous tense. For example, I've been drinking tea for a few minutes. Now, if you say I have drunk tea for a few minutes, incorrect. That's not okay. Okay, according to grammar, according to academic English, according to correct English. For example, you say I have eaten lunch. I have eaten lunch. It means now I'm not hungry because I have already eaten lunch, and the action of eating started and finished at an unspecific time before now, before present time. Okay, in the past. But here you say I've been eating lunch for a few minutes, for 10 minutes, for 5 minutes. But we cannot say I have eaten lunch for 10 minutes, for a few minutes, or for... No, that's not correct. Okay? As I said before, there's an exceptional case, and we're going to talk about that later. Now look, present perfect tense. I have known him since last year. I have known him for a year or for a few years. If your main verb is state verb, it's not an action verb, and you want to talk about the fact that that state existed in the past, still exists at present time, and may or may not exist in the future. So with the preposition since and for, we commonly use present perfect tense and not present perfect continuous tense. I have known him since last year. I have known him for 10 years, for many years, for a few years, for 5 years. In this case, we cannot use present perfect continuous tense. I have been knowing him since last year would be incorrect. Why? Because state verbs are most commonly not used in continuous form. So know is a state verb, and using it in present perfect continuous tense is not correct. So now, if you want to talk about the duration of a state that existed in the past, still exists at present time, and may or may not exist in the future, we use present perfect tense, not present perfect continuous tense. Don't forget this. Next, if we want to talk about a repeated action, commonly we use present perfect tense and not present perfect continuous tense. For example, I've told you many times not to do that. I've been to, for example, India several times, many times, a few times. I have watched that movie several times, a few times, many times, okay? I have taught this lesson a few times, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So my point is that whenever we talk about a repeated action in the past, we use present perfect tense and we do not use present perfect continuous tense. If somebody says, I have been telling you many times not to do that, that wouldn't be correct according to grammar. Okay, so when we talk about repeated actions, we use present perfect tense and not present perfect continuous tense. Now we come to the exceptional case. The exceptional case is with the three specific verbs: live, teach, and work. Now, if these three verbs are used in either present perfect or present perfect continuous tense, we talk about something that, kind of action that started in the past, comes to present time, may or may not continue in the future. So it's okay. I've told you that present perfect tense is mainly not used for those kind of actions. But exceptionally, if these three verbs, like live and teach and work, are used in present perfect tense, then you can talk about those kind of actions which start in the past, come to present time, may or may not continue in the future. Then it's okay. You can say, I have lived in Kabul since 2005, or I have been living in Kabul since 2005. Both tenses have the same meanings. Okay, exceptionally, you can do that. Teach. I have taught English for 10 years. I've been teaching English for 10 years. I've worked with that company for several years. I've been working with that company for several years. Okay, so these three verbs can be used in both present perfect or present perfect continuous tense to talk about the fact that the actions start in the past, come to present time, may or may not continue in the future. Okay, now if we talk about something that recently finished in the past, but the result of that action exists at present time, commonly we use present perfect continuous tense and not present perfect tense. For example, I see you and your clothes are wet, and I'm asking you, why are your clothes wet? So you're saying, because I've been watering the garden, because I've been walking under the rain, for example. So now the action of watering the garden finished in the near past, and without using for or since, the preposition for and since, to talk about an action that started in the past and comes to present time, or may not continue in the future. So that's not that situation. This is a different case. Okay, so now you use present perfect continuous tense because I see, the remark of that action that just finished in the near past at present time. So that's possible. For example, why are you sweating? Why are you sweating? Because I've been running a lot. Because I've been running. Okay, so that's possible. And when we use the two prepositions, recently or lately, okay, we can use present perfect continuous tense without the prepositions for and since. So now there isn't the idea of talking about something that started in the past, comes to present time, may or may not continue in the future. So they have been complaining a lot lately. They have been complaining a lot recently. Or for example, the final exams are closer. The students have been studying hard lately. The students have been studying hard recently. Okay. So now present perfect tense. There are some very, very common adverbs of indefinite time that they can be used in present perfect tense, and commonly they are not used in present perfect continuous tense. One of them is already. So we have already finished the project. I've already eaten lunch. I've already drunk tea, or I've drunk tea already, so you may take it to the end of your sentence. So commonly, I've already been working on this. Maybe, yeah, I already finished it, or I've already finished it. So now it's possible, but most commonly, these adverbs are used in present perfect tense. So the next one is so far. And the position of this adverb of indefinite time is at the end of the sentence. I have taught you 6 tenses so far. So far means up to this time, which means, up to the present time or up to this time. So usually it is used at the end of your sentence. And then we have yet. It is also used commonly at the end of the sentence. I haven't had my lunch yet. I haven't had, and commonly in negative sentences we use yet. I mean this preposition. So yet also means up to now, up to this time. So far also means up to now, up to this time. But so far is commonly used in affirmative sentences, and yet is commonly used in negative sentences or sometimes in questions. Okay. So have you ever been to India? Now, it's not common to use, I mean, ever, this adverb of indefinite time in present perfect continuous tense. Have you ever been going to India? No. Have you ever been eating something? Have you ever been, commonly in present perfect tense, have you ever been to India? It means that in your lifetime, anytime in your lifetime, have you been to India anytime in your lifetime? So now, I mean, it comes after subject and before, I mean, the main verb over here. And now there is never, and it is also used between, helping verb have and the main verb, whatever that is. I mean, there has been the third form of to be verbs. I mean, but it could be an action verb. I've never done something, for example, instead of been, or I've never eaten something or something like that. So I've never been to India. And present perfect continuous tense, it wouldn't be common. I mean, it wouldn't sound good to say I've never been going to India. I mean, most commonly these adverbs of indefinite time are used in present perfect tense. So I hope that you learned the differences between present perfect and present perfect continuous tense. If you have any confusion, if you have any questions regarding the differences between these two tenses, feel free to write your questions in the comment section below. Have a great time and bye-bye.